Shalom, my name is Yehonatan Ben Devoy. This right here is going to be video 4 on why polygamy needs to be accepted in Torah-compliant communities. This is my board with 2 separate commands on it. The first one right here is Exodus chapter 22, verses 16 through 17. The next one is Leviticus 19, verse 29. Because I put the 2 up here because the fact is both of them are going to work together. Trust me on this one. The fact is that one is about the command to basically have a shotgun marriage for the woman who basically is a virgin and she was seduced and all of that stuff by a male who is inside of the by specifically a male. Anyways, let's get this underway. I put the blue up here for the words that we're just going to ignore or whatever, and the green up here for the words that we're just going to focus on and highlight within the specific commands. So let's get underway, shall we? V'ki yipatach ish. All right. First things first. When a man or if a man will seduce, because this word here is patach, it means to open. It's in the he fill, which ultimately means he causes her to be seduced or open up in reference sexually. He will, so basically in and of itself, it ultimately means to seduce. A virgin who is not engaged and will have sex with her, he will most certainly pay for her to become his wife. This portion right here, mahar yimanharna, is called the infinitive absolute. Basically, this verb, it means to pay, and this verb over here also means to pay. So ultimately, the infinitive absolute intensifies the version, or basically the verb to pay. It's an intensified version of the word to pay, ultimately. So he basically will have sex with her, green pronoun. This is the pronoun right here is in the genitive, which basically, that's why I highlighted it. It ultimately means that he is right here performing the act of sex. Right here, this is the act of seduction. So ultimately, what this means is there's 2 acts here. One is the guy has sex. He seduces her, and then he has sex with her. So ultimately, the act of seduction in and of itself is not alone. It's not a standalone. But he has to complete the act of having sex with her. The reason why I have the word ish in the green here is because of the fact that there are, in Hebrew, we have quite a number of verbs or nouns that mean male. There's zakar, there's ish, there's enosh, there's even adam. ultimately, this word ish, it ultimately means that this could be a person who is married, but also may be a person who is not married. We don't know. So we're going to plug those two options into this word here. A man who may be married and a man who might not be married. Seduces a virgin. Ultimately, the command has the specific intent of not only men who are married, but also men who are not married. If he seduces a virgin, whatever version of male it is, seduces this virgin and who's not engaged, he's supposed to make her his wife. That's literally what it says. Now, the reason by which that I brought this command up in relation to Leviticus 19:29 is because we have another commandment here that is a very, very big deal. El tichalal et betka liha zonta. So, don't prostitute at your daughter to make her commit fornication. You see, this right here is a verb it means to commit fornication. Now, the word in and of itself is used primarily, or specifically fornication. It means ultimately a person who has committed fornication. It's a very, very interesting word. It means the very first occurrence of it is used in connection to Dinah, where she had premarital sex with a man who was quote unquote with a man who's quote unquote a Shechem, essentially. She had premarital sex with him, and basically her brothers Simeon and Levi referred to her as being quote unquote a prostitute at the end of the chapter. So basically, this word can carry the connotation of having premarital sex. It also is used within the confines of a person who is, women who cheat on their husbands as well. The other occurrences of this word is used primarily of males who commit the act of violating the covenant with other, basically violating the covenant between them and Hashem. Between them and Hashem at, at Sinai. Specifically that covenant. By going forth and whoring with other gods. So ultimately, this word to whore, I'm going to make a case for it to mean that it's a deviation from the covenant. Ultimately, the reason by which it is used primarily of women in that regard is because, women, when they whore in and of itself, they're violating the terms of their covenant with their husbands. Or husbands, the reasoning why they are violating the terms of their covenant with Hashem, it's because ultimately they are, they are basically having sex with female prostitutes or prostitutes in service to other gods. So ultimately, like in the case of the Moabite women, that was an act of devotion to Baal Peor. It wasn't primarily for desire or this. No, they were setting up a covenant with the god Baal Peor. This word here is also used of concubines who basically violated the terms of their covenant with the men that they were bound to. It is used primarily of women who go out and cheat on their husbands, and so on and so forth. So ultimately, I'm making the case that this is a command specifically for fathers to make sure that their daughters are bound to men in the bonds of covenant matrimony, or bonded to a man within the confines of a covenant to be a pilegesh, or a concubine, if you will. So ultimately, it's not confined to specifically a person with, it has nothing to do with marriage or this. I mean, heck, there isn't even a specific command that addresses the act of marriage. I would say that this is the closest thing that comes to the commandment for marriage, right here. And this is why they bring up the bride price of virgins, because the two are working in tandem. Ultimately, the opposite of this is her to become his woman. The act of him having sex with a virgin is definitely a sin. He's basically prostituting her by making her by making her have sex, premarital sex. Because ultimately, as I've stated, it has to do with premarital sex in the case of Dinah. So basically, let's think about the children of Israel, that they can't be Dinahs in and of itself. So no Dinahs are allowed. Ultimately, in order for Dinah to not be allowed, a woman has to be given within the confines of a covenant. So there you go. This right here ultimately says, yeah, obviously they sinned. Obviously they did. But to make sure that her reputation is looked after so that it doesn't take a hit, he has to marry her and never put her away. He has to marry her and never put her away all of his days. Anyways, I sure hope this study has blessed you. Thank you.